Hey, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're diving into one of the most critical roles in large-scale Agile, the release train engineer. So let's get on board and figure out what the conductor of this Agile Express really does.
So picture this. You've got, say, 10, maybe even 15 highly skilled teams. They're all working away on different pieces of the same really complex product. How on earth do you keep them all aligned, all synchronized, and all moving in the same direction without just causing a massive pileup? Well, that's the core challenge that the Scaled Agile Framework, or SAFe, was built to solve. And the answer? It really lies with one very special role.
And here it is, the release train engineer, or RTE. Now, according to SAFe, this is not your traditional manager, not even close. The RTE is a unique blend of a servant leader and a coach for what's called the Agile Release Train, or ART. And that ART? That's basically the group of teams we were just talking about. The RT's number one job is to make sure that whole train runs smoothly, facilitating all the key events and clearing the tracks so the teams can just focus on delivering value. To really get the RTE role, you have to understand the philosophy behind it. And this quote from Peter Block just nails it. It's not about having all the answers or being the hero who swoops in to fix everything. Nope. It's about empowering the teams to solve their own problems. This is a fundamental shift away from that old command and control mindset. And you can see that shift right here. A traditional manager might tell people what to do and solve problems for them. The RTE flips that completely on its head. They guide people to discover their own solutions. They create the space for problem solving to happen. The crucial difference is that their power comes from enabling others, not from directing them.
Okay, so if the RTE is the conductor of this Agile release train, what do they actually do all day? Well, their responsibilities really break down into 5 key areas that keep this whole system of teams humming along. These 5 things kind of form a continuous cycle for an RTE. They facilitate the big planning event, support the actual work, coach the teams, optimize the flow of value, and drive relentless improvement. Let's actually use this as our roadmap for the rest of this explainer and dig into each one.
First up, PI planning. This is where the whole journey begins. It's this massive, often 2-day event where literally everyone on the train gets together to plan out the next 8 to 12 weeks of work. Now, the RTE doesn't dictate the plan. They orchestrate the entire event to make sure it's a success. And the RTE's work starts long before the event. They have to make sure 3 big things are ready to go. First, is the vision clear, and is the backlog of work actually prepared? Second, are leadership and all the teams on the same page about what's most important? And third, they handle all the logistics, whether that's booking a giant room or setting up all the digital tools for a remote event. You can see how success is all about the prep work.
So once that plan is set and the train officially leaves the station, the RTE's job shifts to supporting execution. Their whole goal now is to make sure the train stays on the tracks and reaches its destination, delivering real value along the way. To do this, the RTE is at the center of a bunch of key events. You've got the RTE Sync, which keeps all the teams aligned week to week. You have system demos, where the train actually shows off its progress. And then there's the Inspect and Adapt workshop, where everyone reflects and improves. But maybe most importantly, the RTE is the master of removing roadblocks and managing all the risks and dependencies that could derail the entire train. You know, beyond just running meetings, a great RTE is a great coach. They're constantly working to build up the skills and the mindset of everyone on the train, from the newest team member all the way up to leadership, helping them become more self-sufficient and more effective. This is the kind of powerful question a great RTE asks. See what they're doing? They aren't giving the answer. When a team gets stuck, an RTE won't say you should do this. Instead, they'll ask something open-ended like this. It empowers the team to think for themselves, to explore different paths, and ultimately, to own their solution.
Here's another perfect example. This question makes you pause and look deeper. It helps uncover blind spots. By asking these kinds of questions instead of just giving orders, the RTE is actually coaching the entire group to a higher level of performance and building this amazing culture of critical thinking.
And all this coaching, all this questioning, it naturally leads to the heart of continuous improvement. The RTE is a systems thinker. They're always looking at the entire process, the whole value stream, to optimize the flow. They're constantly asking, how can we make this whole thing better? This focus on flow is what fuels that relentless improvement, making sure the train doesn't just run, but actually gets faster and smoother over time. Now, to improve that flow, the RTE coaches the ART on what SAFe calls the 8 flow accelerators. A few really key examples are helping the train visualize all of its work so you can literally see where things are getting stuck. They also push everyone to limit their work in progress, or WIP, because we all know multitasking is a huge productivity killer. And they advocate for smaller batch sizes so teams can get feedback much, much faster. It's all about creating a smooth, predictable system.
So, to bring it all together, the release train engineer is so much more than a project manager. They're the ultimate facilitator for the entire Agile release train. They're a true servant leader who coaches instead of commands. They're a master of process who keeps the train on the tracks, a systems thinker who's always optimizing the flow of value, and really an agent for relentless improvement. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When you look at its focus on coaching, on empowerment, on systems thinking, is the release train engineer just the next step in the evolution of project management, or is it a fundamentally new kind of leadership built for a totally new way of working?